Hello, healthy friends. This is Terry, and I am here today with Jacquie Elliott, who is a certified life coach, relationship coach, and spiritual coach, teaching retreats here in Central Oregon and maybe even Mexico, right?
That's right.
And I have so many questions because I just don't know enough about what it is you do, and my husband and I were like, maybe we need to go to one of these retreats ourselves after this year of COVID. I think so many of us have been, with our partners maybe a little more than we normally are. I know usually I have a lot of girlfriends I interact with and get those breaks, but this year has been a very concentrated year relationship-wise. So I think that a lot of relationships could use your services this year, and I'm curious what kind of things you offer.
Well, I think that's why I decided to do spiritual retreats, because I think people were in their homes isolated, and they were isolated with just either their partner or with their own chatter. And sometimes that chatter is negative. And many people emerged, with new ideas, and they wanted to do more creative. But sadly, the rate of prescription depression medication and anxiety medication rose. So that tells me that a lot of people are still suffering. So I wanted to do a spiritual retreat where people could just go back and just take some time for themselves to get centered in their life purpose, and maybe reconnect with their spirit. Maybe they've had some bad luck and they've disconnected it a little bit. And it's not necessarily a God, or what it can be, a higher self. But the spiritual retreats are designed with really good food, yoga, meditation, and some techniques that I use in my spiritual coaching practice that help people to kind of go in and find that voice and use it to let go of old hurts or to create the life that they want to live.
Oh, that is beautiful. And I think you're right. I think that spirituality really saved me during this COVID time. I got really into chanting as just a coping mechanism. I have never really done that before, but I found a woman on Instagram and I just snot Tom Carr and I started chanting. But that has not been the case for so many people I know. I also do massage therapy, and so many of my clients are just in survival mode.
Exactly.
Maybe they lost their job, maybe they're stressed out about money, and maybe they're having problems with their kids and homeschooling, and they're just taking it so seriously. And so I think that too, I think how could you help somebody who's just like in survival mode get out of a survival mode?
Well, and that's a lot of what life coaching is. They say therapy and trauma work is like archaeology, kind of digging in the bones, looking at the past. But life coaching is really about architecture. It's about, okay, here's where I am now, here's where I want to be, how do I get there? And those are the steps that we work on in life coaching. So, for example, if people, I always ask, the first question I ask is, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And
I love that.
Isn't that a great question?
Yes.
Because that gets you thinking about also your blocks. What would you do if you couldn't fail? Well, gosh, if I couldn't fail, well, then I would do this. I'd write that book. I'd do that TED Talk. I'd become a yoga instructor, whatever it is. And that's what life coaching does. So when I ask that question and they say, yeah, I really want to write that book, then we get in touch with, well, what's stopping you? What's standing in your way? Well, really, I don't know. Maybe nothing. Well, how about if we set a small goal this week? How about if your first step to writing that book is titling it? Maybe write down a couple of chapters. Not even do the writing. Just think of some chapter ideas. How about going to the library? So those are the kinds of small little steps that people need to keep moving. And that's what life coaching does. Now, what spiritual coaching does, and this is what I love about spiritual coaching and why I became a spiritual coach, was because when I was coaching people, what would happen is they'd get stuck in something I call tornado head. They kind of get stuck in their head where things are swirling around, and they, so in our coaching sessions, I would say, so, what do you think about that? Or what's causing, or what do you think is behind that? Or how can you change that? And they'd go, I don't know. I don't know. They would be afraid to know. And we do know. We do know. So I took the spiritual certificate. I got my spiritual certificate because I realized that if I could take them out of here and bring them here,
Oh, I love that.
then we bypass this tornado head, right? And usually what happens is I'll say to somebody, well, okay, so you don't know. So let's check in, okay? How about let's close your eyes and let's see, where are you feeling this right now? And they might say, well, I'm feeling it in my stomach. And you say, okay, well, what color is it? And they kind of go there because that's innocent. Do you have an image? And, so let's talk to that piece. What is that saying? Now, if we brought your spirit in, what would your spirit want you to know right now? And so before they know it, they've gotten down there and they've gotten the answers that they wanted. And it wasn't some big process. They do know. And what happens is I have a lot of clients who then start depending on that. I mean, that's the success of the program, is that, once you find your spiritual center, it's something you can always rely on. It's always there. Should I buy a house? Should I not buy a house? I don't have to make a decision right now. How about let me tune in and see what it feels like? And let me ask my higher spirit. Let me do some writing. Let me do some journaling. And I find that as a result of that spiritual coaching, people just move a lot quicker and a lot more gently, and then they give it back to the world the same way. They're not in angst. They suddenly start giving back to the world that same spirituality that they're receiving. It's a beautiful process.
Oh, I just love that.
Yeah.
It reminds me, when I teach Reiki class, students always, number one question they say is, how do you know if it's your intuition, or if it's spirit telling you, or if it's your own fear about something, like, oh, I don't want to go because I'm scared this will happen. And I also come from center a lot in making my decisions, and I really find tapping into spirit and getting into that center, that deep knowing, there's no emotion about it.
Right.
It's like, oh, we need to buy a house, we need to buy it now. I'm not excited about it. I mean, sure, it's going to be exciting to buy the house later, but it just is a knowing. It's so powerful. Or people will say, I'll have an intuition, something bad's going to happen, and somebody might say, oh, you're coming out of fear. And I'm like, no, there's no fear about it. There's just knowing. I don't want to go down that path, or I don't want to do this. And it's just a knowing. I actually don't have any fear about it. You're having fear as I'm telling you about it, but
well, how many people?
Isn't it interesting?
Yes, and how many people don't listen to that knowing? That's some of the work we do too. A lot of it is intuition work. It's like, what does it feel like to know? What's the difference between when you know something and your intuition was telling you but you didn't pay attention?
Yes.
Okay, so what does that feel like when you didn't pay attention? Okay, now what does it feel like when you know? So that in the future, when it's your intuition.
It's so beautiful and different. And sometimes, we all have that dream. Like, I had a dream that someone I love was in a car crash, and I wake up so afraid. And then I go, oh, that's not knowing.
Right.
That's just like some emotion that's working. I can tell because I got all this fear about it. Because when you know, you just know.
Right.
And it's so interesting how there is just it's like the room is quiet.
Right.
And there's no emotion.
Well, I'm doing a talk on, it's something called abusive brain chatter. And that kind of ties into that. Because a lot of times what happens is our critical self-talk is bullying us. It's telling us, oh, you can't do that. And it is fear. And so, it's holding you back. Mm-hmm. Because it's like a little child at your knee going, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. If you don't pay attention to it, it's going to get really, really loud. So I've come up with like the ABCs of abusive brain chatter, which are A, be aware of what your brain is telling you. And be aware that it could be some kind of emotional abuse. Is it bullying? Is it belittling? If it's any of those, then you know that it's abusive brain chatter, right? And B, believe that inside of you are the answers to the questions that you know, and a more still and calm voice that you can access when that voice starts calling to you. And C, the important thing is challenge your core beliefs. You know, it's the core beliefs that are chattering. That's where our chatter gets all of its fuel. It's if you think you're not good enough, that chatter is going to think you're not good enough. So the idea, and one of the things that I do in my coaching practice, is I give those voices space. It's like, well, okay, fear, tell me what's going on for you. Well, I think I really want to protect you. It's always they want to protect us. You know, really, I don't want you to move into that new house because it could be a mistake and I don't want you to make a mistake. And then what happens is if once it finds out that you're in charge, that your spirit's in charge, it goes, okay, all right, I'll just sit back here and let you make the decision because it's tired. It doesn't like abusing you.
It's just like the child, it needs a nap.
Exactly. Thank you. What a great way to look at it.
It really is like mothering your brain.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
Like, okay, you're just tired and you need a nap. You got a cortisol going on.
But I'll listen to you. I want to give you attention. I don't want to just say shut up. I want to give you the attention, but I want you to know that me and my spirit are in charge now, and we got this.
Yeah.
We got this. So that's a very powerful, it's called the voice
love
dialogue.
that.
Yeah,
I
it's a
love
really
that.
powerful technique.
And so I know that you are interested in doing a TED Talk in the future. That's one of your big goals,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I hope that's okay. I'm just outing that.
Yes, oh no, absolutely. I'm working on that
And
now.
what kind of things would you bring to that TED Talk? I'm just so curious. Like, do you have a goal in mind for that? That's a big, lofty goal, I know.
It is, and it really, the talk is on abusive brain chatter, and really what I do is I chronicle my own journey, because my own journey started when I was 42. I realized that's when I got my spiritual awakening, and suddenly there I was laying in bed eating frosted mini wheats and with my asthma inhaler in one hand and the TV remote in the other, and I just said, I've hit bottom. I can't do this. And my brain chatter was going crazy, saying I was never going to get out of that bed. And I got out of bed, I got on my knees, and I had like a spiritual awakening that said, get help. You do not want to live the next 42 years of your life like you're living the first 42 years. So that's my journey. And so in the TED Talk, I'm going to share my journey and then also what I've learned, how to get out of it, which are those ABCs.
I love it.
Allow yourself to be aware, believe, and then challenge your core beliefs. So I'm excited about it.
I love that. You know, 42 is exactly when you're having your North Node in astrology. I love the North Node. It's so funny. When we moved to Bend, I've studied astrology for 20 years and I didn't do that much with North Node. And we moved here, Aquarius town. I found out my North Node was Aquarius. And I realized I moved to Bend to do my soul. The North Node is so powerful because it's your soul's mission.
Yes.
It's what your soul is here. Like the Saturn return is like, what are you going to do for work? Are you going to get married, have kids? All that exterior, the things you do. But the North Node is like, what is your soul going to learn and do and contribute to society? It's so big.
And that is what spiritual work is. What is your soul? One of the exercises at the retreat I'm going to do is I'm going to take people back to the point where they remember their soul.
Ooh,
when it was pure.
I love that.
And then let them take care of it, cradle it, and bring it back to the present, and now it's theirs. And it's again the same kind of thing. It's your soul. It's who you were meant to be. It's who you were born. But life got in the way. So now I'm going to give it back to you.
And how do you access that? Is that through meditation or dreams, or how does it?
It's a guided meditation.
Ooh, I love it.
And but it takes a little bit of work. We do some other meditations first, and then once I know that you feel really secure with your spirit guide, then we go back and and we take it and we care for it. I mean, mine was wrapped in velvet when I was 3, and I saw it and I unwrapped it and I brought it back to me now, and I am so filled with spirit. I just want to share that. That is my life purpose, and I get goosebumps thinking about it. But, for so long I denied that I was a healer and that I had all of this, and now it just feels so beautiful to be able to release it and to share it with others. And then when I watch my clients blossom, and I just got this email from a client who said, "You changed my life. I can't even believe how you changed my life." I was just like, that's what I was meant to do. It was like, that's what my little baby soul was meant to do.
Yes.
So
good thing you unwrapped it from the velvet.
Where I protected it for many years. Yeah.
And you have some spiritual retreats coming this fall.
Yes.
Do you have a timeline or dates, or should people look on your website?
Yeah.
We'll put a link to your website down below.
Yes, and it's going to be, there's not going to be a lot of people. We're going to limit the space because I really want it to be a personal experience. So if people are interested, I suggest they get on the wait list.
Yes.
But it's going to be here at a beautiful location. We're going to have, as I said, delicious, wonderful, healthy food. I've got an art therapist coming, and I've got yoga and meditation
Nice.
and hikes. So it's going to be all about all of the whole spiritual journey, not just here, but in nature, in art, in creativity, in our body. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, wonderful. As you're speaking about this, I just keep thinking about multiversity in Santa Cruz, California. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
And my husband and I both did energy clearing retreats with Jean Hayner there. And it's an amazing retreat space where they have incredible food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all provided as part of it. And they look for people just like you to teach there. And the rooms are very affordable. I think it was like $89 a night. And it was including all this amazing food. And then you pay for the retreat as well. It's something to look into. I don't know. I just see you. I see you teaching at Multiversity.
Well, send me the link.
Yeah, I will, definitely.
Yeah, maybe, who knows? This might synchronicity happen.
Yeah, I think it is. It's like Spirit keeps saying, tell her multiversity. I'm like, wait till after the video. But sometimes Spirit is like, no, you need to tell her multiversity right now.
And the one thing I do want to say is if people haven't connected with their spirituality, they're welcome to come. It's a gentle process. It doesn't have to be spiritual leaders. It can be women who are retired and they just don't know what to do with the last part of their life, but they know they have a life purpose and they haven't been able to access it. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to be spiritual. You're going to learn spiritual practices, and I guarantee you after you spend a weekend practicing them, they're going to be part of your life. So again, everybody's welcome. People for all levels of spirituality.
Wonderful.
And religions. No religion. It's not religious based.
And you sometimes do couples spiritual retreats too. And is that a different retreat where you work with couples?
No,
this is just for open to everyone.
This one is for women, but the couples work I do is couples workshops, and it's on communication.
Oh, nice.
Helping couples, especially newlyweds, learn to communicate, learn to set boundaries, learn to ask for what they want, and learn to look for the golden nugget in their relationships instead of looking at the negative. It's like this week, hey, spend all week looking for the golden nuggets in your husband or your partner. Just look at the good things they're doing this week, and helping people.
I think women can especially use that advice because so often women focus on what's not right.
Exactly.
And then,
So.
Well, this is wonderful. If you guys want to find out more, there will be a link down below.